Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the Colorado Rockies. I really almost said Detroit Tigers there. It's been really that long of a time since I've actually played this game. Of course, I've been kind of posting this series pretty infrequently, and it's pretty much just going to be like that whenever I have time or really feel like playing the game. I will play the game, and now that baseball kind of is dwindling down the postseason, I've kind of lost a lot of interest in playing. Plus, also, I've been really busy, and of course, this isn't always my go-to when I'm not busy. So it really depends on just when I have time and when I really feel like playing. But here we're back after probably a couple weeks of not playing. But nevertheless, we are back. So let's go ahead and jump into it. If you don't remember where we're at, we just finished the 2021 season. And I honestly don't really remember perfectly where we're at, but I have a pretty good idea, and I should refresh my memory pretty quickly. But we're at the end of the season here, and we definitely have some things that we're going to want to go through. Our bench coach and our hitting coach both retired, so they're going to be going, and then shouldn't really have anything else going on much here. Once that's the upgraded catcher, but goes to the 500 ball. Don't really care about those. Of course, we want to keep building our team up, so we'll definitely keep on doing that. So, first things first, I think we should go ahead and look at team staff. I definitely want to keep building up our team, and I want to check the settings here definitely because it doesn't look like, or it looks like whoever's been doing the minor league stuff has been Our minor league person looks pretty bad. I don't know how this all. Literally, everyone here is inexperienced, which is not good. But yeah, a lot of things to feel here. First things first, we probably should get a team trainer. Probably importantly, and we want to prevent arm injuries at a very good rate. Rick Jameson is going to be the guy who we try to go with here, so we're going to go with him, and then back to signing the rest of our personnel. Actually, pretty much our whole major league team, our whole major league staff is up to be replaced this year. So we're going to go ahead and be looking at hitting coach, and we want to make sure that guys with hitting coach preference are there. And it doesn't look like there's a ton of fantastic guys. Max Forsyth could maybe be something. Probably want or him or a power kind of guy. Is definitely what I want, but I definitely want a decent development influence because I want our players to hopefully grow. And then I kind of want to see, kind of refreshing my memory in what the types of players we have, but no one really profiles in any of these spots. So we're definitely gonna go ahead with one of these guys, Miles Hardy. Seems good enough. We'll sign him because his ratings aren't awful. And then I think we have pitching left. Oh, actually, we have a bench coach on left too. So we actually have quite a bit of guys to bring back here. Mickey Callaway is a fantastic pitching coach. That's kind of interesting. So he's a pretty good pitching coach. Mark Pryor is here. Honestly, I think we're probably going to go with him. He looks pretty good, of course. Had a pretty fantastic short-lived major league career. Pretty famous for that as the other Cubs pitcher. And we did a Kerry Wood career simulation. I thought about doing a Mark Pryor one. And it still could happen. I don't know necessarily what my plans are with kind of those kind of videos at this point. I think right now just putting anything out in general is really what I'm trying to do. And I don't really want to put in the effort to start a new series if I'm not really keeping up with the only one I have. So I think that's probably what's best. So if our Josh Ross, I'm not looking to really have a bench coach that really wants to stir things up. But actually we'll go with Equato here. Because, actually no, Nick Palmer is the one who's... Okay, I don't know, we're just trying to ruffle any feathers. The bench coach really isn't going to be doing anything for me, so I don't think that it should really matter too much who we want to bring in there. Bud Black is still our manager. I don't really want to replace him at this point because his contract's up after next year. Definitely don't agree with a lot of I mean, he's definitely not who we would ideally want to have manage this team, but no point in really removing him at this point because we're definitely not getting ready to win. So, of course, no reason to really invest in a good manager there. Tony Walters, I'm probably pretty sure that most guys on this team should be back. Next year, David Dahl wants a big increase in money. Wow. I don't think changing the value on a lot of these guys is really going to do much, though. Jeff Hoffman, he's still here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are just guys who don't really make anything. Tyler Nevin, I just want to make sure that he's brought back. Oh, he's not even in the mood for discussing. So I guess we'll just let our assistant GM kind of play around with that because I'm definitely not trying to mess around and mess that up with already some guys that don't want to be here. So gonna let him deal with that. All this other stuff I'm not really gonna deal with right now. As for trades in the offseason, I don't really think we're gonna be looking at anything, at least dealing away people. Of course, we dealt with Arenado retaining a lot of his money, Blackman retaining some of his money. Of course, just a lot of young guys here in the offseason. I forget if I talked about what my plans are. Necessarily, but for like the future, at least for this offseason, we do have Cassius, so like corner infield is a spot that we're definitely not looking to upgrade. Dahl back, I think we'll probably, actually no, he was pretty bad, so Cassius probably is going to get, at least I'm going to try to run him at third base for at least a year or two and see what happens with that. That could give Nevin some ABs at first. I guess he's not terrible in the outfield, but Cortez is pretty big outfield, so definitely we don't want to just throw guys out there, or at least be pretty hesitant to throw guys out there. So we're pretty good up the corners. Yeah, what we really need is just guys up the middle, as in a center fielder. Hope that Brendan Rodgers continues to produce. Hopefully Jeter Downs is healthy next year. And then our catching tandem was actually pretty good last year, especially Contreras with the bat, Walters in the field. And then Hilliard was actually pretty good. So, I mean, pitching is definitely what we're trying to upgrade. That is definitely for sure. So we're going to go ahead and look at pitchers and get going to the offseason. So I'll jump back in when we're kind of ready to jump into the rest of the offseason stuff like the awards, and then we'll head into free agency. Okay, so all the awards have finished out going around here. All the guys who we offered up contracts to for our staff, they signed on. So I'm just going to go ahead here and quick through the awards a little bit. Of course, we don't really have anybody who's really vying to win any of these awards. Probably, I mean, David Dahl is really the only guy we'd even have in there, and he's not even on there. So if he's not in there, nobody would be. So Mookie Betts is on the Nationals now. That's interesting. I guess he never got extended with the Dodgers in this, but yeah, Ozzy Albies wins the NL MVP. Junior wins the AL. NL top pitcher. We're definitely not gonna have anyone in there. Nobody in the best manager. NL rookie. Maybe we could have someone here, but we don't. NL Platinum Stick. No one here either. Yeah, so really no awards for us. But soon we're going to be heading into free agency, so I'm going to go ahead and get there, and we'll look to improve our team. Maybe have some guys win some awards next year. Alright, so we're here at the first day of free agency. Of course, there are international guys who are going to be available here at first. Looks like a few decent pitchers actually right there, so we'll definitely be in on those guys. As for bats here, not really any interesting ones. At least, wow, a lot of these guys actually already have teams. Somehow I never really understood how that happens, because it actually happens quite frequently. Starlin Gomez, he's a reliever, not really interested. We already brought in an international reliever, didn't perform well. So I definitely don't want to, at least try not to do any more of that. Marpena, he's young, which intrigues me about that. Felix Ramirez, another guy. Man, are these guys really all relievers? That would suck. Cortez Alvarado, also a reliever. Wow, honestly, I don't know why this guy's so highly rated compared to the other guys, because I think I actually like Felix Ramirez's ratings. I actually think they're, better, honestly. So we'll get a scouting report on 2 of these guys. I'll probably give them an initial offer. At least probably a low ball offer. Felix Ramirez is also pretty old, actually. Cortez Alvarado, let's just see what he's interested in. He kind of wants a long-ish contract. We already have Jose Gonzalez, who we brought in, and he was awful last year. Yeah, yikes. He's really the only guy of those guys who we brought in last year. Because we do have guys here like Junior Fernandez, who possibly is a starter in the future, which I'd really like to see him as a starter. But honestly, it doesn't look like too many of these international guys are really that interesting. We'll go back to them real quick. Maybe we'll go with one. Maybe the Omar Pena. I mean, all these guys' ratings look pretty much the same. Actually, I don't think we'll bring in any, because I'm not looking to bring any $5 million a year relievers. We'll focus on filling out our starting rotation first before we do any of that kind of stuff, because it really just doesn't make sense for us to do that kind of thing and accidentally sort by date of birth, which we don't want to do. Sort by potential instead. I mean, not a lot of fantastic talent is really left. A center fielder would be really nice, because we actually don't have anyone coming up who can play center field. But the kind of market for center field is not fantastic. Chris Taylor, he's available. He actually wouldn't be bad, I don't think, especially some gap power and Coors Field. Definitely interested in throwing him an offer, seeing what he would say. 4 years, about $8 million. I'd do 3. I don't think this would turn into an awful signing for us, even if he doesn't perform well at the bat. Because I think he could be pretty decent at least. Yeah. Because I definitely want to give the keys to Tristan Cassis this year. Kind of at first, third, Dahl back's there, of course. So we have Tyler Nevin. And so I don't really want to bring in another corner guy like McMahon. He was pretty good last year at the bat. He's been pretty good historically, in the majors at least, when he's got an opportunity to play with the bat. So I don't really want to crowd the corners. Yeah, we got Colton Welker, who's also can play. Rogers and Downs, I want to see them play this year. So yeah, really the only thing offensively that I want to see upgraded is center field, which we're doing with that, with just Taylor, and then of course he can also play up the middle. So I think honestly that probably will do it for the signings. Batting wise, of course, pitching is what we want to find, and I definitely want to find good values, even though the pitching market this year is absolutely horrendous. Literally none of these guys look even worth signing. I can't even see how really any of these guys would help our team in really any way. Garrett Richards, he could maybe be interesting as a guy to bring in. I don't really see any other starters that really interest me, so we'll go ahead and offer up to him. See if you do 2 years. This could actually be a pretty good deal for us, I think. And then we should probably fill out our bullpen or see who we have. So yeah, we have Kyle Freeland. And we'll have Marquez coming back. So I mean, all these guys are definitely replaceable. So I just want to find 1 or 2 3-star guys, because all we'll be able to find. Our bullpen, theoretically, the back of our bullpen actually is pretty good. Gonzalez, Fernandez, Feltman, Almonte are all decently highly rated. That kind of falls off a little bit after that. But, yeah, we have Helsley, Antonio Santos. Our pitching isn't bad. It's just okay, and they're not performing in Coors Field. So I really just don't know if it's that smart to invest in anything heavily. Alvarado's actually still was 80. I mean, if he could be a multi-inning guy, I forget if I already offered him. No, I didn't. I think we might as well just throw in an offer to this guy, see what he wants. If we could get 4 for literally all of these, what if we took off one of those years? Right at 4.5. Use that for all. He's interested at least talking about that. So we'll try that with him. I mean, honestly, that's what's really tough about these first seasons, just that, like, I'm not really trying to ruin our whole future by contending, like, right now. Like, I still want to be bad, still want to pick up some draft picks, especially with this team. Like, we have a lot of space, but there's just not really anything that I'm interested in, like, doing, because I don't want to kind of move over Rodgers and especially Downs. Like, these guys should be the guys who are starting up the middle of the infield for us, which is definitely what's going to happen. And, like, Bornstein, Hilliard are more than capable quarter outfielders guys, especially at Coors. Hampson, he's the spot which I mentioned before, needs to get upgraded, of course. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, the starting pitching is just so bad. And that's really what, we're trying to upgrade. We have, plenty of hitting prospects coming up. I actually forgot we have Taylor Charmelle, who definitely is going to be, we definitely want him to play some center field for us. But I think the Taylor signing still definitely makes sense because we don't really have any guys who I'm, like, enamored by them coming up and just seeing, like, what they can do, like, at all, really. At least, like, in the immediate future. So I think that signing still makes sense because literally if one of these guys goes down in the infield, Taylor will be filling in there. So Charmelle can get those center field ABs at the very least after he... Yeah, so Charmelle can get those center field ABs if anyone in the infield really gets hurt, because that would push Taylor into there because, we have 13 players as is on the Major League roster. Ona. Yeah, I want to keep those corner guys. I want to give them some ABs because I'm sure they'll be fine. Pitching is really the thing that needs to be upgraded. But there's not, like, a ton of fantastic, attractive pitching talent here, which is, again, the big annoying problem here. Iglesias, he only wants that much. Kimbrel, tore his rotator cuff. He's out like 7 months, so that would take him December, January, February, March, April, May. Take him all the way into June. Yeah, it's probably wants a 1-year deal on that. Definitely don't want to bring in him. I guess this is where we bring in the other starter, to be honest. So we got Garrett Richards that we want to bring in. Do we bring in Cueto, maybe? Duffy's an extreme fly ball guy, so I feel like that would be a disaster in Coors Field. Cueto is pretty neutral. He's got good control, though, which maybe would bode well for him performing well. Advice like Coors, his ground ball tendencies pretty much just right on. Wow, he actually had a good 2020. I mean, only $2 million per year. I mean, why not? He's not worse than anything we have. And at the worst, at the best, he gives us his 2020 season. And at the very worst, he just is awful, and we just cut ties with him. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much think that sums it up because I don't want to bring in anyone who would cost too much, and there's no point in getting an elite reliever. So I think I think honestly we're probably done because we'll just stay with the guys that we have with the bullpen. Because they're really not that awful. Just hopefully maybe they can kind of put together an okay season. Our pitching's awful. Our offense is going to be good. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing we can do. Kind of tied. The pitching market is just so bad. I definitely want to take advantage of it. Like hopefully next year, even if we're not ready to contend, I definitely just want to spend some money just to see what kind of sticks pitching wise, good pitching wise that is. Like how dominant like a good ground baller would be. I could also probably scour the trade deadline, to be honest. Yeah, but I'll actually go off screen. We'll keep some a little bit more. The Rule 5 draft's coming up, so we'll adjust in that, and we'll kind of go from there, I think. So I'll see you guys then. Right, so we're here at the first year, not the first year player draft. I literally say that every time, then I comment about how I say it every time. But yeah, so we're at the Rule 5 draft, and I literally almost forgot to start recording because I was so enamored by all of these guys that are available here. There's quite the pool of talent, and I'm not even on all players. I'm just going through full talent. First of all, I mean, Jeffrey Marte here, I mean, he literally looks like a carbon copy of Jeter Downs. I mean, he's a fantastic defender in the infield. Can he play some outfield? Yeah, of course he can play some outfield. This guy looks like he can do anything. I mean, the OSA ratings on this guy aren't nearly as high on him, but I mean, just look at that. His discipline looks like it could be off the charts. His shortstop rating is already fantastic. So at the very least, he's going to be a good defensive stopper. Here we have Onyo Manzouda. At least I think. He hasn't played above rookie ball. I'm not very interested in this guy for that reason. Carl Mitchell. Now this guy is really extremely interesting to me. It looks like his discipline rating is pretty good. His bat's already pretty good as it is. Our scout has pretty much average tendency on him, or average scouting accuracy on him. His outfield rating is not very good. He's never going to be a good outfielder. It looks like his infield ratings are kind of meh. So he definitely is an outfield / first base guy. It looks like he can maybe play some first base for us. So that's a possibility. And then there's some guys here. Fredis Nova. I think I might have had him in the Tigers save at some point. Levon Soto. It just looks super interesting as well. All of these guys just look super interesting ratings. I mean, the OSA ratings don't like these guys a ton, which is probably why they're not really favored by their teams. But I mean, like Josh Lowe, this guy, I mean, the scouting accuracy that we have is high, and the scouting accuracy of OSA is low, and there's virtually the same thing. He doesn't have a fantastic center field rating. But honestly, I think this is the guy I'd go with first. He's the most major league ready by far. He can play outfield or infield. Yeah, I mean, this guy looks like a versatile guy that we're going to be able to have forever. So I'm going to first and foremost pick Josh Lowe. Looks like a 40-man's probably full, because that always happens to me. Or at least I realized that after it happened the last time. Runner Cruz, no thanks. You can get on out of here. Peter Lambert, Fuentes, you can get out of here. That's for sure. We won't need you this year at all. Mike Gerber. Yeah, I mean, none of these guys really care about. None of them will get claimed. We'll just go with really how many guys we'll need. So back in the Rule 5 draft. Back to our pick. Where's Josh Lowe? There he is. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna draft him. So he's gonna be the first guy who we bring in here. I'm actually not sure what we want to do next. Scouting director recommendation. There actually is none. Wow. Okay. Man, I'm honestly not really sure if I want to take Marte because he hasn't played. Like, he played last year at A-ball, and that was pretty much it. I mean, he is about to be 21, but I honestly don't really want to ruin this guy's career. I mean, it looks like that definitely could happen because he's so raw. This Tom guy is not really that interesting. Any of these pitchers, Martin Perez, not very interesting. Extreme ground ball, though. I don't think it's definitely not worth using a Rule 5 draft pick on him, though. Oh wow, I wasn't even all the way at the top. That's kind of insane. Jahmai Jones, he's available. His hitting ratings are very interesting though. Michael Gigliotta, center field guy there. Not absolutely terrible. His hitting rating's kind of been up and down this entire time. Oof. Yeah, it looks like he could actually maybe play some first base at some point if he needed to, although his bat would never be good enough to play there. Grant K. Huh. I think this guy's hitting ratings are definitely extremely interesting. Wow, yeah. And, oh, this guy actually is a utility player. He's 28. I think this is who we go with right here. This is just a very interesting pick. Owen Miller is available. I want to see his ratings here. Not nearly as interesting. Anoli Perez, he's on our team, isn't he? Yeah, he is. I really hope no one picks him. Well, I'm sure no one is kind of out here at this point. Marte, I think we hold off of him because he's literally just going to be sitting on a major league team with no play behind Downs or Rogers, so I don't really think it makes sense to take him, to be honest, because I really don't want to ruin him. Anderson Espinoza, he looks like he's going to be on the shelf for like 4 months. I don't even know what to think of this guy at this point because he doesn't really look like he's going to turn into anything. So I think I'll probably hold off on him, although I have seen him be good in previous OOTP games. Felix Bautista, he's never really played above A ball. Carl Mitchell's style, it's the kind of really intrigues me though. His hitting ranges are pretty decent, and he could definitely just take the place of kind of the corner guys that we have that are kind of veterans. And worst case scenario, if Carl Mitchell doesn't pan out, we just plop one of those guys back up. And yeah, I mean we're not really playing for much anyway, so we'll just go ahead and take Carl Mitchell because we need to edit the 40 man, but we'll go ahead and take Carl Mitchell. K's ratings really went down. I don't know why it made his main position second base, but we'll go ahead and set it at third base. I'm actually pretty excited about Grant K. His ratings look actually pretty interesting. Gerber will send him down because we'll take him off the 40 man because he's by far the least interesting of the veteran kind of corner / I guess he can play center field guys that we have. Carl Mitchell, and then he's going to be the last guy we take. So we're going to go ahead and complete the draft after that. I guess he is pretty popular somehow, so it makes our I don't know, fans like it, I guess. Maybe he's a little controversial or something. We don't care. We just want him to play. So we're going to go ahead with him. Wow, actually, literally, like, no one else took anyone. Mickey Moniak, well, he got taken. His ratings actually look pretty decent, which is kind of crazy. But, yeah, we're literally the only team besides them to even pick more than one person. So, go ahead, Simade, just see how it kind of chalks it up, just how I'm interested to see kind of what drafting those guys did to our potential lineups. Carl Mitchell, wow, I even forgot we drafted Josh Lowe, who can literally play anywhere. Carl Mitchell, in low, pretty much way back, although definitely would, of course, get priority over Hampson to make the team. K, possibly backing up Pasto at first. It looks like K just probably needs some more experience at these positions because he's pretty decent at playing any of them. So he definitely just needs some more experience to get his positional ratings up. But yeah, he's an interesting guy, kind of ability-wise. Very interesting that Apostle is in there. Of course, that'll all change when we get to once we get to spring training and all gets kind of jumbled around again. So we're gonna go ahead and keep moving forward. And honestly, we probably won't update you guys until the regular season because there really won't be anything to update until we start cutting people and trim down the roster to the opening day team. And by the way, all of the international pitchers that I was looking at, we're just not going to look at any of them because all their values went up since I kind of lowballed them. So a bunch of teams got interested, and that tends to happen when you lowball those kind of guys. So we're just not going to be in on any of those guys. So pretty much anybody who we have now is who we're going to be going with into the season. Although we're still waiting on Cueto and Richards to hear back from those guys. I do hope we get them, so I probably will hop in and update you on that when it does happen. Before we get into the kind of beginning of the regular season, we do have some updates that I kind of did mention. First of all was the Garrett Richards and Johnny Cueto kind of interest that we had, and we signed both of them, I should say. So they're going to be both on the Major League team, and both will slot into the Major League rotation. I'll take a look at that, how that chalks out kind of at the moment in a second. But we do have the Hall of Fame to go after over here. So Alex Rodriguez and David Ortiz both making the Hall of Fame first ballot here in 2022. Those are guys that, I mean, probably aren't that controversial of Hall of Fame first ballots in this year, like a steroid truther or something. But whatever, that kind of era, that steroids kind of just, made the game fun, at least a little in my opinion. Definitely helped with the game's popularity when it was point that I was dying. Just my kind of just 2 second kind of off the tough take right there. But then you have a bunch of guys out here that are kind of in no man's land, at least kind of in Hall of Fame voting world. About 40-ish%. All of them are kind of varying years in, mostly to the back half of their Hall of Fame eligibility. So not very likely a lot of these guys will get in, at least, unless just nobody comes in the next few years, which I don't know off the top of my head who's going to be eligible in the coming years, but these guys probably aren't very likely to make it in. But again, I could be wrong because the Hall of Fame voting can be kind of weird in this game. But nevertheless, we're going to keep on trucking to the regular season starts. Okay, so here we are now at the beginning of the regular season, which I actually forgot to start recording, or forgot that I wasn't recording when I was doing the actual trimming down of the team. But I don't really think it's that eventful or really missing anything, because, I mean, with the acquisitions that I made, you could probably figure who I was going to keep up. And really the only tough decision here was keeping Charmelle down, but it really even wasn't, because Cal Mitchell and Josh Lowe, of course, Rule 5 picks, so they're all locked in to being on the roster anyway if we're going to keep them around. So Lowe and Mitchell are both slotted to be backing up. The outfield, pretty much, there are outfielders that are coming off the bench. Mitchell is going to be slotted as the first pinch hitter off the bench against lefties, and Lowe is there right behind him. Grant Kay, he, of course, is also going to be on the Major League roster to at least start the year, because, of course, he's locked in and we're going to keep him around. McMahon, kind of just keeping him around at this point. Not really much use for him. Probably at some point I'll replace him with a righty, because we don't really have any righties off the bench besides Grant Kay, at least hitting wise. So Kay, he's the top pinch hitter against righties, which you could expect, and against lefties because he's the only right-handed bat on the bench. So he should probably see a lot of those at bats, which would be good for him. Very interesting. Maybe he could play the kind of role Chris Taylor did for the Dodgers for us, as he did for them, as I mentioned. So it'd be kind of cool if he could do that. I don't think his platoon splits aren't like really heavy like Taylor. I know he's all pretty the same, except his gap power against lefties is just ridiculous. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Downs and Rogers manning the middle. At this point, their potential is both gone down considerably. Our scout has great kind of a great eye on Downs at this point. It doesn't really look like he's going to be developing much more, although of course we are at Coors, so his offense of course will probably play up. So interesting to see how those guys end up performing out this year. And then pitching wise, we actually did have quite a few pitching injuries during what am I trying to say, during spring training. Actually a lot of long-term injuries. Oberg, he was of course already down. Hoffman went down, which is a big deal. He wouldn't have made the roster anyway. Almonte, who would have made the roster, he's down for a while. And Castillo, he will be back shortly, so he'll be back on the roster pretty much after this day. And then here, pitching, pretty much just sending guys down who have options left at this point. The only thing, Junior Fernandez is kind of developing considerably. His overall has gotten up to 4 stars already, which is very nice. That he's going to be in the setup role for us. We have Jose Gonzalez, who's of course our big acquisition from last winter, I should say. Not making a lot, but did not perform well at all, so it'll be a big year for him. And of course, with injuries to guys like Hoffman, that's going to leave the 5th spot to Cueto. It's really not sure what's going to happen with these veteran guys. Richards, I'm kind of much more sure of that he'll be at least pretty decent, or at least I hope he's pretty decent for us. Much more confident in him than Cueto, especially the fact that Richards, it did say he was a ground ball guy before, but it looks like it's neutral now. So yeah, Marquez, he's back and healthy, so he'll be anchoring the staff as the ace. Again, Richards, Zenditella, Brett Conine are all going to be our starters this year. Conine, of course, definitely like his ratings. I think he could at least be a good reliever. Extreme ground ball guy, so be interested to see how he does when we kind of stretch him out. He got a little bit of run as a starter last year with us. Wasn't particularly fantastic, but still very interesting. Of course, our pitching just kind of is a mixed bag at this point. Don't really know what's going to happen, but we have to get into the season to at least see what's going to happen. So That's going to do it for this episode, and I'll check back in with you guys at the Rule 5 draft. Not the Rule 5 draft, the first year player draft. I literally always get those wrong. But yeah, we'll check in at the first player draft, go to performance, do the draft, and hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. It's been about 3 weeks between each video, I think, at this point, and I literally have no idea. The next video could come out tomorrow for all I know, but hope to see you guys soon. Peace.